We are very happy to be hearing the I Can Speak in Public seminar presented by David Rennie, who has joined us for the songwriting workshop, and we're very grateful to be receiving this content from him. So let's give him a warm welcome.
Second bit of practical information is the sound engineer should have set up the podium, the stage, the wires, the electricity, the microphone. Everything should be already finished. So thank you to Stefan for having fulfilled that. We know each other very well because when he was performing, I was doing the microphones. So, and
today I served you.
Today finally I got vengeance. Excellent. So, good morning. We are going to do a seminar on performing or public speaking. My normal notebook for non-musicians is this one. It's I Can Speak in Public. Could you tell me what it says, the title is on your book?
I can write and perform great songs.
So, does it say I can or I can't?
I can.
I can. So, when you go on the stage, you have to internalize that. I can.
I can.
Now, my name is David Rennie. Do you know that certainly? Do you know what my phone number is?
No.
Do you know what my email is?
No.
That's why I gave you that card. So you know my name, you know my email, you know how to contact me. The first point of communicating is communicating. So it's I give myself to you. So when you go on stage, you have to present yourself to the audience. So I am the offering for you. So here's my name, here's my beauty, here's my content, here's my song, here's my piano, here's my bass, here's my drums, whatever. You are giving yourself to the audience. You must say to the audience, here I am as an offering. You will become happy because of my offering. My job is I teach graphic design. And I walk into the class, I meet 8 strangers every week. Sometimes I meet 8 strangers 2 times a week. I do 2 seminars a week. And I walk in and I say, good morning. By meeting me today, you will be blessed. You will learn so much that your life will never be the same again. And they go, what a funny guy, you know? But he's got to be right. You know, I thought about it. I'm new. Cool. What a cool guy. Wow, I'm enjoying this. Already the cycle of give and take and motivation is getting higher and higher. You've only been there 25 seconds. You walk in, oh morning, I got a headache. Oh God, I've got to teach another class today. You've already depressed the whole audience. I'm nervous. Then your nerves and your stress has already communicated to the body and the mind of the audience. So if you are stressed, run around the hall one time before you do your performance. I learned this from the Seventh-day Adventist choir. If you sing the first note of your solo, you've got no oxygen, you've got no brain power, you've got no lung power. So you run around the hall, and then you go in, and you say, the Lord! You know, wham, it comes out. So you've got to have physical energy to get the spirit to come out. So do physical exercise. If you walk and do that and just run and get some blood outside privately, then you come in, you say, good morning ladies and gentlemen, it's lovely to meet you. My body is relaxed, there's blood in my body. So use your body as your first instrument. You tune the guitar, you have to tune your body also. So when I'm playing flute, when the first note is absolutely the only important note, I always run 100 meters. Then I come in and boo, legato, just straight out, lovely. So prepare before you start. Now, I'd like to show you the front page of the notes, please. Could you go to the front page? The first one says preparation. Yeah? Have you got a good plan? So you need to prepare almost everything before the performance so that the performance goes automatically. Yeah? The result of the preparation will be the result. So if you think, oh, I haven't got a clue what I'm going to do, I really don't know, then your performance will be of that quality. It will be thin, it will be uninspired. If you think, wow, these guys are suffering in hell, I have to save them. How do I do it? How do I do it? How do I do it? Then the passion that the audience receives as a result is the exact result of your preparation. So how do I feel about my audience? Do I like them? Do I love them? Are they annoying? Is it just a boring duty that I have to speak or have to perform? Or is it my absolute joy? So if you've prepared the absolute joy to give to the audience, that's exactly what they will feel. So if you're confused, you'll make a confused. So if you go into a sermon as a unificationist, say, I'm a leader, that's why I'm going to speak. All the audience gets is arrogance and aggression and boredom. If you go in because you've got something to say, then they will get what you've got to say. So if you're a leader, fine, make sure you have something to say. The leader is just a slogan. Father would regularly take leaders and make them the driver. Make them the cook, make them the bottle washer, make them, and if you can serve at the lowest, you can serve at the highest. Father said, if you give a rubbish sermon, serve people physically. So in Sri Lanka, every Sunday I would wash the toilets before the sermon, because I would guarantee to give a rubbish sermon, so at least I could serve. And my wife would serve with the food, and I would serve with the music and the sermon. So you might notice, before I came today, I gave you a notebook, I gave you this notebook today, I gave you my card, so I serve physically. So it makes a condition for serving spiritually. It wasn't random, it was very deliberate, very deliberate. Okay, so, internal content. Most second gen have beautiful internal content. They don't need to worry, is my motivation pure or impure? But a lot of leaders, they really have to worry about that. Am I giving because I'm a giving person, or am I giving simply because of my position? Your internal content has got to be pure and lovely. Yeah? Then you give purity and beauty to the audience. I don't talk about that with unification members most times. I do with Christian ministers, and especially with Muslim leaders as well. Oh, we have our Quran, therefore it's right. No, it's not. What's the will of God? You say inshallah, which means if God be willing. What does God will? Oh, I don't know, don't think about that, they say. I say, fine, if you're not connected to God, don't talk about God. If you know the love of God, say what you know. Get your internal processes right. Don't speak from the book, speak from the heart, speak from truth. So, the external method. I teach external method a lot to unification members. They're rubbish at microphone technique. They're rubbish at physical preparation. So many external things can go wrong. They will go wrong. So I would like to emphasize this. PowerPoint, if you have, like my lecture yesterday, if you have too many words on a PowerPoint slide, the audience will go to sleep. So the best thing in PowerPoint is to have a photograph in PowerPoint and you give the word yourself. You are the speaker of the word and the picture supports the word. You never turn backwards, put your backside to the audience and then read from the screen. That is bad technique. Definitely bad technique. You should give your eyes. Father said when you do a guitar solo and you hit that top note, don't close your eyes because you're breaking the relationship with the audience. When you do the top note, give it. Just give it to the audience. Yeah? You know, I've met good drummers and I've met bad drummers. My nephew plays drums in the church in Lancaster Gate in London, and he's playing like this. And so you can't see his eyes. You know, he may be a good drummer, but what you have to do when you do that amazing hold back in the rhythm, you have to go to the audience, see if they're getting the hold back, and then whoa, you accelerate a bit, and the audience goes whoa, and they physically react to the drummer. Yeah? So you're giving with your eyes and your body and with your hands, always. So you should be such a good musician that when you do your solo, the audience physically reacts. They go, whoa! I'm like that when I hear Celine Dion hit a top note. I go, whoa, goodness me. And I breathe. And you hold your heart rate, you can see it going up when a soloist hits their top note. When you do the key change in the bridge and you go up to the crescendo, you go, ah! That's the moment of art in music that you need to get. You have to practice to do that. It doesn't come naturally. Nothing comes naturally. You have to practice. So, could we please open the little booklet? My methodology, just before I go into the details of page 1, my methodology is I'm going to speak for between 40 minutes and 1 hour. We're going to have a 10-minute tea break, and during the tea break, you will write, if you want, you don't have to, you will write a 2-minute speech.
During the break?
During the break, just to contemplate during your tea break. Yeah? So it's better not to chat, it's better just to go on your own. And write a few points, and after the break, you'll come back here and give a 2-minute presentation in front of everybody. And we, with sweetness and with positivity, will critique the techniques that you use. And within 2 or 3 people, you will understand clearly what's a good presentation, what is a bad presentation. So, let's go, but you don't have to. But if you'd like to, please do. Preparation. 1. You have to plan what you want to say, who you want to say it to, and why you want to say it. I was bugging Paul Kazuha for about 3 weeks, saying, who's coming, how many people, what type of people, and so I had to build a picture in my mind of who you were so that I could prepare yesterday and today's lecture specifically for you. So if you're a musician who comes in to the audience, you don't know who they are, you have to do the first chord or the first introduction on the microphone to build the relationship. You play a chord on your guitar. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. We have come all the way from Dusseldorf to perform for you today. Anybody know where Dusseldorf is? Yeah, of course. You're from Dusseldorf. Great, cool. This one's for you, sir. You know, and then immediately you've made a connection, just with one person in the audience maybe, or maybe with 100 in the audience. And because my talk is going to the Dusseldorfer, everybody feels he's talking to me. Like the TV presenter, they look directly down the camera. So when you look at the TV, it looks like the news reporter is talking to you personally. So you need to do that to find out who everybody is, what you want to say, but you have to work out, why do I want to say? Is it because I'm so arrogant and so conceited, I want to tell everybody what a good musician I am? Because if you do that, that's exactly what the audience will feel. They'll think, what an arrogant, self-centered creep they are. I really don't want to be here. They might walk out. Or at least they'll walk out spiritually. So why am I here? Am I here to serve or to show off? Self-centered musicians lead to self-centered music. Self-centered music leads to self-centered culture. Other-centered thinking leads to other-centered culture. Yeah, it's simple, it's logical. So, this one, I had to think about this so hard in the last 3 weeks. Don't choose more than a few concepts. The human mind can't remember more than 2 or 3 things at the same time. If you talk about 4 things, people will have forgotten the first 2. That was my pain in the Unification Thought lecture, because he's got so many concepts. I thought, they're going to be so bored with all of this. How can I simplify? How can I simplify to a few concepts, not many? Now, point 2, introduce yourself clearly. My name is. In the talk that you give, please do not forget to say what your name is. Sometimes you are in the middle of song 2 and you think, oh man, I didn't say what the name of our group was. I didn't say who I was. And then, and you're thinking about yourself and you're getting nervous, but it's too late by that time. And the nerves that you experience, the whole audience will organically feel the same stress, the same tension, and that concert will be rubbish. So if you've gone and said, hello, I'm David, I'm here for you, good morning, and they know, oh, he's David. So immediately the relationship is made. Don't forget to introduce yourself clearly. Now, relate yourself to the audience in an interesting, respectful, edifying, yet humble. You could be really brilliant. You can do the cosmic lead guitar solo. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. But do it to serve the audience. True Father was an incredible actor. But why did he do it? Because he loved us. Yeah? I sat there at his feet in London. And I'm thinking, I have no right to be in this theatre without paying a ticket. I've done nothing. And he's giving sweat, he's giving blood, he's giving jokes, he's giving physical energy, he's giving spiritual truth, he's teaching history, he's teaching attitude, he's teaching love, he's giving everything. This is a performance that I'm not even worthy to be in the audience. I felt that every time he spoke. Every time. I still feel it. Even though he's in spirit world, I still feel unworthy even to listen to his words. So Father could perform like mad. Like excellent. You know. So, the word edifying, I mentioned that yesterday. To edify means to grow or build a building. The motivation for you to give a performance should be to give value, to give goodness to the other person, so that their character or their heart is bigger and better building than it was before they met you. So I am your food. You have to think that. I am, because of my word or my music, I am elevating you. And you will be better because you met me. Tell the audience what the title of the topic is, point 3, and where the talk will lead. An American soldier American captain was very famous for saying, when I teach the troops, I tell them what I'm going to tell them. Then I tell them, and then I tell them what I've just told them. 3 stages. Have a thesis, expand on it, and then conclude to it. And if you repeat it 3 times, they will remember. Like, how do I play a bar F chord? You know, or a D minor or something. You first of all get taught, then you practice, then you perform it. 3 stages and you get better and better at doing that. So plan by heart or by skeleton notes. A skeleton note is this book. There's only 5 topics per page. I can talk about whatever I want, but centered on that skeleton. So it's good to have simple notes, maybe 1 word or 2 words. I talk about cellos in the orchestra or drum kits in the rock band. Point, point, point. So have a theme. Have a theme. And then expand on it. Every good singer knows exactly the content of the words of that song before they go on stage. Could I give you an example of a disabled singer? That's me. I'm playing the flute. I'm disabled from singing the words. So whenever I do a holy song on the flute, I don't have the notes on the stand because I can't read music as fast as I can play. I can play faster than my reading. I have the words. So I think the words when I play the note. So if you go la da dum da da dum da da da, think, what's the meaning? But if the Lord into his garden comes, and I think about God, the cosmic farmer, coming into a garden and bringing out flowers and fruit and wheat, creativity in the garden. So I'm thinking about garden. My flute is completely automatic, but my thinking is deliberate and now. So you have to internalize the content of the words when you sing it. And the pronunciation you have, the Lord into his garden comes. The Lord into his garden comes. The Lord is coming into the garden. God, wow, cool. God is still creating today. What a concept. Because you emphasize the Lord into his garden comes. So choose some concepts in the words of the song to meditate on until they become one with you. Until you can express the content, the sung content of those words. So order the props. Point 5. A prop is eine Vorbereitung, a preparation, a book, a quote. Some people come in with a Bible, a Cheonsongyeong, a photocopy, a photograph, and then they walk onto the stage and they say, ladies and gentlemen, they say, what was that? What was that? What was that quote? Hang on, I think it's Genesis 2:28 or 1:28. Oh, I didn't bring my glasses. That's awful. It kills the whole performance. You should, when I make notes, I have a book which is stapled together, and in a felt tip pen, I put 1, 2, 3, 4 on the pages, so that when I do a Bible quote, I don't bring a Bible. I photocopy the Bible on Saturday, and then I highlight in a felt tip pen the quote, and I've already prepared it. I've already read it out on Saturday. So I know how long it takes, I know which places to make emphasis and which places to speak quickly and quietly so there's no emphasis. So I have 1 sheet of paper or 1 book, or today I just have 1 notebook in order, numbered, with every page numbered. So this is not random, this is deliberate. So when you're performing, prepare everything. Yeah? Okay, do you notice that on this book, which is not printed in the wrong order, page 1 is next to content 1 is next to content 4. Exactly, whatever you prepare will come as the result of your talk. Yeah? So they are Sungsang and Hyungsang. Yeah? So, the result for the audience is a quality and an influential speech or performance. Yeah? Transmission of the speaker's core ideas. I happen to like the romantic songs of Celine Dion. So when she sings, my heart will go on and on and on and on and on and on for 3 years, top of the pops. I think, right, that's my pledge of loyalty to my wife. Our love will go on and on and on. So when I hear Celine Dion, I think of my wife. Yeah, and it inspires me and it makes me more faithful. Yeah. So that's the core idea of the singer, coming to me, the audience. Yeah. So when you're singing, you have to think, whatever I say is going to change the audience, like a chemical reaction. Once you do the reaction, they'll never be the same again. So make sure you give something of beauty and quality to the audience. Then their life will become higher quality and more beautiful because of your performance. Point 3, the audience adds new explanations. I'm a teacher. I teach very complicated things like maths within Photoshop. Yeah? People aren't interested in that. It blows their mind. If I tell them, Kazuha, do you know what 2 to the power of 24 is? It's 16.7 million. That's the number of colours in Photoshop. As a theoretical teacher, I know that stuff because I got bullied by my son to learn mathematics when I was 52 years old. Yeah. If you talk like that, people won't understand. You've got to find the level of the audience and give just a bit more. So if you're talking to a lot of Catholic nuns, don't talk about love stories between husband and wife. It really won't. Yeah, you've got to make sure that what you give is just a little bit more than what they know already. If you want to sing in front of Catholic nuns, make a song about the love of a mother. Then they will really get it, because that's exactly where their heart is. So you add a little bit more to what they already know. That's why I liked your mother's song so much yesterday. Now, point 4, the audience, the result of a good performance or a good speech is the audience should be happy. They should be happy with themselves. They should feel content. Yeah? And they should feel happy with you as well. They should be enlightened. They should be stirred. They shouldn't be bored, insulted or irritated. Stefan, if you go to your Munich church and you say, I'm the leader, I'm going to give a 3-hour introduction to the restoration on the 3rd course of Abraham's failed sacrifice, the audience are going, oh my God, give me a break. You know? It's only 3 hours, but I might get inspired.
I cannot do this.
As a drummer, you would not. You never violate rhythm. Yeah? But I do that. I have to be very careful I don't talk too much and too long and actually annoy the audience rather than serve the audience. I'm always very sensitive to that. Every day when I teach, every one of my students has to write a report and send it to my employer. So if I bore the audience, they write it clearly. This guy's an idiot. He spent much more time talking about himself than he did about the topic. We don't like him. They write that sometimes. Too much testimony, too little technicality. Or sometimes people say, oh, it's too complicated, I didn't understand it. So I improve my techniques every single day. I practice till I get better and better. So I can communicate to everybody on their level so that they understand what I have to talk. So, if you want to know, Jesus was asked, what's good and what's bad? He said, well, if you want to know what kind of tree is in the garden, have a look at what fruit it is. If you want to know if your performance was rock and roll or whether it was rubbish, look at the audience's faces. If they go, yeah, with uncontrollable joy, you know, or if they're weeping. I was crying last night during the songs, it was gorgeous, yeah. If the audience cries, you know you've got them right in the palm of your hand. You know that your song was beautiful and gorgeous, yeah. So don't think, was I good or was I not good? Look at the audience, you'll see immediately. Some people think, oh, Clive Raymond stopped playing the guitar. God, I don't like the guitar. You know, then you didn't win. Yeah, so you have to have a victory on every performance. So, 4B, your personal result. You're going to achieve your specific goals. You will build relationship, but you will grow in happiness. You will think, yes, I'm a joy maker. I am a joy maker. I am an artist. Not somebody else, it's me. So that by meeting me, people get beautiful. They actually become physically more beautiful because of my performance. That's cool. What a power I have. I'm empowered by God to make people happy and to make people beautiful. That is a blessing. That is a real blessing. So then your life will be full of internal gratitude to God about how much God gave you. You'll even be grateful to your parents about how much inheritance you received from your parents to be able to be such a powerful influencer for goodness and loveliness. That's the position of the artist, of the performer. They have the power to change society. So, point 4BD, your leadership capacity and authority will increase. I put that point when I did this seminar for STF. You can only lead others if you can lead yourself. So if you find that you are successful in making yourself a living artwork, then you can do that to anybody else. But if you can't do it to yourself, you can't do it to other people. So you are your own testing ground. You are for leadership. Good. Now, let's go to page 4, topic 2, internal content. 1, speak for the audience. You are an offering. You belong to the audience. You don't belong to yourself. Why are you there? Because the audience needs you. Hyojinim used to say, I don't exist. I'm only here for my parents. That's why he had the title of Hyo given to him by his father after his death. You know, that he was the one who fulfilled filial piety. You thought with all the problems he had during his life, that couldn't be true. But actually, everything he did, he gave to his parents. Even when going through problems. So, you don't exist. Your song exists. Your love exists and your relationship exists. So you are a servant of all of those things. So you're not there for your own glorification. You're there for edification of the audience. Now, shyness and arrogance. This is so rude, this is so cruel. I'm going to say shyness and arrogance can show self-centeredness. I wanted to put does show self-centeredness, and I calmed it down by saying can show self-centeredness. Could I give you 2 acts here? I'm nervous to be here today. I really don't know why Mr. Balcom told me to come here, but anyway, what was the first word I used? I. Secondly, I'm really good at this. Yeah, I'm the leader. I can do it. Again, it starts with I. The only way to make art for the audience is to overcome the ego, overcome I, live for the other. You only exist for the joy of the audience when you perform, not for your own satisfaction. You'll get satisfaction. When you do a good solo that really hits the mark, you go, wow! Just, that was good! You know, you get your own joy. But you only get your joy when the audience gets their joy. You can't see a happy audience without getting happy yourself. It's just infectious. So, point C, aim for a win-win conclusion. Got to make sure they're happy and I'm happy as well. There's no happiness in your own misery. So, point 2, be truthful, don't act. Now, I have learnt some acting techniques. I've learnt acting techniques because I went to lectures and I learned them. I've learnt acting techniques from True Father. But if you, it's very interesting, the word actor in German is Schauspieler. Yeah? And Schauspieler means, oh, he's just an actor, you know? Actor in English is more, oh, he's an actor, he's a Hollywood star. The idea in German, I think, is slightly lower, you know? He's horizontal, he's shallow, he's just an actor. Now, could I say, you need acting techniques. Like, how do I hold my hands? Do I put my hands in my trousers like that because I'm so nervous? That looks so uncomfortable. You have to learn how to use your hands to give a performance to the audience. How to use your body. That's an acting technique. But you mustn't become a hollow actor who just uses techniques with no heart. The acting techniques must become because of your love for the audience. So, the audience's perception is acute. The original mind knows a cheat from a truthful person. They know. You know, if you're a fraud, they will see it in 2 minutes. I've got a wife who looks at me. If I'm talking rubbish, she just looks at me and I know, that was rubbish. But I have a daughter who has a degree in psychology and she tells me why I'm rubbish and how I'm rubbish. So my daughter is my very best audience. Yeah? She's really critical but loving at the same time. Yeah, she's really good. So, a lie is a personal poison. Avoid all negative language. If you say, I'm no good at this, you are taking what Principle calls taking Satan's viewpoint. Yeah? Oh, Adam and Eve, they're rubbish, I'm all right. We're not rubbish, we're blessed, we're chosen, we're second selves of true parents. Yeah? We are the sons and daughters of God. Don't say you're no good. But the result of saying you're no good is you say, I'm not a very good speaker, but Stefan asked me to come here. So what you're saying is, Stefan brought a rubbish speaker because you are a rubbish audience. And you wouldn't know quality if it bit you on the foot. How rude is that? How belittling. You have to say, I'm going to do the best I can because you are beautiful. Then you're lifting the speech, you're lifting the speaker, you're lifting the audience all together. So I am not rubbish. I speak 4 words in Spanish. Tomorrow I probably speak 5. Therefore I'm not rubbish at Spanish, I'm an improving learner. See, just by using a different word, you will reprogram your mind. I'm not rubbish, I'm a student. Every day I get 20% better. Which means I'm an investor who's getting a great return on my investment. Cool. Point 3. Point 2E. Ideally, the speaker should have lived the subject material, not just studied it from the book. If True Father talked about the principle, he is the principle. If he talks about the history of restoration, he is the history of restoration. If he talked about Abraham and failing or succeeding an offering of sacrificing his children, he knows what he's talking about because he's done it. True Mother has buried her own children. What a terrible thing for a mother to do. They know it. They didn't study the pain of God. They experienced the pain of God. That's your internal content. Point 3. If you are performing, you are the chosen one. You say, well, Heidi's a much better guitarist than me. Forget it. If Stefan asked me to play the guitar, I play the guitar. I'm the central figure. I'm chosen by God. So don't disrespect yourself. There's always going to be somebody better than you. There's always going to be somebody worse than you. That's not the point. The point is, if you are put in the position of giving, you are the person at that point. And everybody should respect you and love you, but you should respect and love yourself as well. As the chosen person. I'm the one chosen. Therefore I take my responsibility with humility and with pride together. So, please respect the topic, the audience and the speaker. Say, unification thought, it's quite boring, so I won't say it. What negative programming is that language? Then the audience said, yeah, it is boring. Why doesn't David shut up and go and visit a castle? You know, immediately you've brought a continuation of negativity. Yeah? So, respect the topic. This is a very important topic. We are culture leaders. So let's study culture. That's a good. Yeah? Then the topic, the audience and the speaker, they're all one. You either lift all of them up or you damn all of them down. So many people come onto the podium with a negative framework, and it just makes the subject material negative. Monies like me go to church every Sunday for the last 40 years or 50 years. You can say, oh, boring, it's another Sunday service. Or, wow, what an opportunity! I can go to another Sunday service. It's our choice which attitude we have. Do I want to criticize or do I want to praise? That's why I'd like Manfred to be here. Do I want to criticize or do I want to praise? So, entertain and enlighten. Be interesting, be funny, be serious, take people with you. Avoid both heaviness and silly joking around. Could I make this is quite funny, this one. I got a lovely joke from True Father in Korean, which was so funny and so rude at the same time. It's toilet humour, you could put it in your book in the bathroom, you know? Many Japanese pastors, they say, oh, because of principle of restoration, we will have suffering. Because of suffering, we have responsibility. Because of responsibility, we have work. Because of work, we have pain. Because of pain, it's so boring. The audience, and it's so heavy. The audience wants to kill themselves. You know, you're going to talk to me like that for another 40 minutes? Give me a break. Give me a coffee. You know? Where's your joy? Oh, we got no time for joy. We're in the process of restoration. That is not a good way to perform. And a pastor is a performer just like a singer. Now, if somebody's always making jokes, you think, what an idiot. Yeah? They joke. You're shallow. You're stupid. You're actually not stupid. You're annoying. So you should mix seriousness with lightness. Now I'd like to talk about True Father in Chongpyeong, main hall. There was a group of about 50 very old Korean ambassadors for peace sitting on the floor, and Father was sitting in the middle on a chair with one leg under his, with his left leg under his right leg, as he often did. And one of the ambassadors for peace stood up. He had a white beard, little Korean pointed white beard, you know, and a little bit of a moustache. And he walked up like this, and he walked down the hall. And Father said, "Hey, Grandpa," he said. You know, we had headphones on to translate. "Grandpa, what are you doing? Where are you going?" "Toilet, Father," he said like that, and put his hand. Father said, "Stop! Sit down! Turn around! Come back!" He said, "I said I'm going to the toilet." And Mrs. Richardson was translating really well on the headphones. And Father laughed. And he said, "Look, old man, if you go to the toilet, you'll be dead. And Mrs. Richardson said, I don't know how to translate that into English. This is just too bad. She said, the Korean slang for toilet is the Korean word for crematorium. You know, for where you burn dead bodies. Yeah, how do you say crematorium? Crematorium. Yeah? So what Father said was, if you go to the toilet, you'll die before you come back, so just sit down. Yeah? And just all the Koreans were laughing and laughing, and Father was laughing. And the old man, he turned around understanding it, bah! and carried on, went out to the toilet. So funny. So Father's talking the seriousness about process of restoration, and then he makes a joke about dying in the toilet. You know? Incredible. Father could take the atmosphere up, he could take the atmosphere down. Now, that's what you do as musicians. At one point in your song, you bring the atmosphere up to an emotional climax. And sometimes you calm it down to be peaceful. So you need to be in control of the atmosphere coming out of your music. There were some of the songs I heard when you were preparing was all in the same tonality. So I didn't know when was the point of wow and when was the point of cool. So you need to balance the cool, calm parts with the explosive parts and have both within a song. So that's like seriousness and lightness, having a chiaroscuro relationship, light and darkness. Yeah. Art always is. Photography is the interplay between light and darkness. Yeah. Your song, you should have light parts and dark parts, which counterpoint each other beautifully, like yin and yang, counterpointing and bouncing off each other. Not dominating each other, but bouncing off each other. So, now, external method point 3, which is on page 5. Speed. Is fast speaking good or is slow speaking good? Slow. You say slow. There's a drummer talking. Amazing. Okay. Anybody got any other ideas? What's better, to speak slow or fast?
Both.
Both is the answer. Both. Can I tell you that when you speak fast, little is communicated. When you speak slowly, a lot is communicated. So can I express this? And this is important. When you speak as an MC, you get nervous. When you get nervous, you get more adrenaline. When you get more adrenaline, you get more speed. This is bad. You have to keep the same rhythm that you've chosen. Yeah? Gleichmäßigkeit. Yeah? You have to determine the rhythm that you want to keep going during your speech. So if I say, and then yesterday Stefan and I went up the steps to the castle and we saw 322 tourists. But one of the tourists came from my hometown in India. You see how I slowed down on the important part and I sped up on the unimportant part. So internalize that. And that's actually true. We did go up and we met somebody who came from the next village to me in Delhi when we lived there. And he was quite shocked to meet me.
And David spoke in Hindi.
Yeah, I spoke in Hindi with him.
The guy was just flabbergasted.
Yeah, you're really fun. Überrascht.
Can you speak Indian?
Yes, I speak Hindi. Yeah. I'm funny. Yesterday, I was more comfortable in Hindi than I was in German. I haven't got my German hat on at the moment.
So cool.
Yeah. I can read and write as well, which most Indians in London can't. So, yeah. Right now, could I speak about loud and quiet?
Yes.
What's better, loud or quiet?
Quiet.
You need to choose when to be loud and to be quiet. Now, all of you, especially the sisters, I don't want you to become masculine like me. I am masculine, so I'm quite loud and going out. But actually, by nature, I'm very shy, and I like to be on my own. I really enjoy solitude. To have a personal room next door is a big blessing for me, because I don't like crowds of people. I get quite nervous. But I've learned as a technique to interface with people. So, if you speak quietly, it pulls people in. If you speak loud, it pushes people out. So what you need to do in your preparation for the next 1 year, for the preparation for performance, is you need to do 2 things. One, to learn how to speak loud. One is to learn how to speak quietly. And you choose when to use it. So, could I speak formally? Ladies and gentlemen, this is the BBC broadcasting from London. And now, 12 o'clock, the news. Very clear. So when you do acting lessons, they say, choose the person at the back of the hall and give your speech to the very furthest point. Ladies and gentlemen, we've come here with weeks and weeks of preparation, but we did it to serve you. And then the audience will just... And you've got the audience, you've captured them, even before the first song. This is why I wanted to say this before Sunday, before you're giving your solo. You have to choose from your group which person will introduce the song. You have to introduce what your name is, what the song is, and why you wrote the song. This is a song about my mother. I love my mother. This is John, Paul, and Harry, and I'm David, and we're going to sing right now for you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Zoom, the first chord. So the introduction and the first chord melt into a piece of artwork. You don't introduce yourself, then you say, oh, Stefan, have you got a cable for my guitar, please? It's too late. Yeah? Now, intensity. Point 1, point 3. Deep seriousness must be punctuated by joy and even humour. Now, I was looking at your mother's song yesterday and watching the words carefully on the screen. You, as the author, need to choose which point is the serious point, which point is the fun part, and then be able to project that in how you sing it. So that you can be slower with the really poignant, with the really impactful point. And then more quick and more light and more free with, oh, my mother's dancing in the kitchen and the hallway, she's dancing, it's light. But then, my mother had 7 children. She suffered. That's serious. So then you've got a counterpoint between the light and the airy and the really heavy and deep. And the audience will be absolutely with you. And every time you say the word mother, they will think of their own mother. And so your experience and theirs becomes one. And that's give and take through a reciprocity. Good. So that's speed, volume and intensity. It needs practice. It needs training. Most sisters in our movement, they do a beautiful song, but it's la 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 la. And it hasn't come off that one atmospheric note. That's fine. But sometimes the gentle has to counterpoint with the hard. Maybe if it's a female song, it doesn't need to have that much hard, but just a little bit. Just a little bit. Good. Keep to time, plan and execute. This one is absolutely for Stefan because he's a drummer, but because he's community leader now in Munich. If you have a sermon, 2 minutes before the end of the sermon, you will get a better idea. It is tempting to carry on and give a second sermon. Don't. Stop. You can tell the audience, next time you come, I'm going to talk about because this is a good idea. Finish. So if you've got a 7-minute slot, 7 minutes. Bus. That's it. Yeah. So many people. True Father was the worst for carrying on. But, and I use the word worst, but in his defense, he always asked the audience, Father wants to speak more. Do you want more of Father, or shall we have lunch? And Mother would go, lunch. Father would say, okay, you want more. Good, I'll give more. The next topic is, but he would give and take with the audience to say he's going to give more. So you can only have lots of time if you plan lots of time. You knew when you went to Father's Hundong at 4:45 in the morning, it would last till lunchtime. That's part of the terms and conditions of living with true parents. Father didn't cheat you and say, right, we're going to have a short reading till breakfast and then we'll go off to the park. You knew that if you went there at 5 in the morning, you would be there till lunchtime, if you were lucky. But the time plan is already prepared, and it should be respected, especially by community leaders. I think Stephen will be the first ever community leader who's a drummer that I know. So maybe he will be the one of absolute perfect timing. Yeah. Good. Speak clearly for other people's benefit in a way they can understand. Don't use linguistic habits. Sort of, in it. Beispiel. Those sounds are very uncomfortable. Many intelligent people think, what am I going to say next? How am I going to express that more perfectly? And they bite their fingernail, and their body stresses. Your father told me, you just did 8 ums in 1 paragraph. Your father's a musician and he's a sensitive and he's a good friend of mine. So I thought, unbelievable. I'm giving a public speaking seminar and the audience is telling me how rubbish I am. That was really good. So, don't use linguistic habits, and don't be so serious you start to mumble quieter and quieter with a long face. That will depress the audience. A lot of people do that.
Sorry, what are linguistic?
Linguistic, language.
Yeah, what is it?
Language habits.
Yeah, language habits.
Yeah, language habits. Yes, or President Saar used to say, what did he say? In between I still don't know what it means. But he had that habit, and once you get a habit is something that's unconscious. But an unconscious habit came originally because you consciously practiced it. Kazuma, do you get that point? I was analysing your speech in London because I downloaded it and I've been listening to the MP4. You used an before between every 3 words. But probably because you were nervous. So the best thing about the preparation is you prepare to have silent breaks in the music or in the speech. And during the silence, the audience fantasizes and adds their experience to yours. So don't fill it with unnecessary noise. Fill it with a conscious, deliberate silence. John Denver's song, Sunshine on My Shoulders. Sunshine on my shoulders, makes me happy. I'm immediately in California. I've never been to California. I don't even know where it is. Yeah? But my fantasy immediately goes to a beach in California. And it's the silence. It's not sunshine on my shoulders makes me happy. No, it doesn't make me happy. It doesn't make me fantasize. So giving empty spaces allows the fantasy of the audience to grow. So have quiet points. That's why you have in the Carpenters' music, you have a bridge, and then the bridge stops, and then the oboe goes, and then the drum, whoa, and then the whole orchestra comes in. You go, wow, amazing, yeah. So it's the counterpoint of that silence with the loudness that brings that emotional surge in the audience, and they just say, I love it, I will buy their records for 100 years. Now, respect, point 4, respect the audience with your appearance of joy and beauty. Your clothes, your face, your glasses, your hairstyle, your very presence is your interface with the audience. So if you're going to a Catholic monastery, don't wear jeans with holes in it. It's really not respectful. If you're going to a student meeting, don't wear a suit. They'll think, who is that English fool who's wearing a 3-piece suit coming to my student digs? Not the German Pope, the Polish Pope before was a guitar playing student Pope. Yeah, he was a student priest in Krakow in Poland. And he said when he became a cardinal, his servant, he said, I don't want a servant. The servants stole his jeans and they gave him red clothes. And he said, all of my 20 years of working with the university students was killed in one go because my clothes were wrong. He said, you can't go into a student beer hall with a guitar wearing a long red cardinal's uniform. It breaks the give and take. He said it was really rubbish. And he said, they actually stole my clothes. They took them away and just gave me my priestly clothes instead. And he said, I was not happy. So wear clothes appropriate to the audience. In Camberg, my son met me after a workshop and I was giving the same lesson. And he said, Papa, he said, look at your feet. He said, you've got one green sock and one blue sock. I didn't notice, but I took my shoes off before I went on the stage in Camberg and I had wrong socks. He said, I didn't want to embarrass you in public, so I waited till after you spoke about serving people with your appearance. Now, the last point, the equipment works for you and for your speech and your performance. Could I ask, how many people use a microphone when they perform music? Everybody, yeah? You all have a microphone. How many people have a microphone engineer in the hall? Not many. They think, okay, I'm Japanese, I'm not that tall, this microphone was for a Yugoslavian, I better move it. And then it's gone bang! And you have 400 watts in the whole hall. Boom! What's that going to do to your performance? And then you say, sorry. Oh. If you have a disaster, you say, excuse me. I say, ladies and gentlemen, it was really nice to meet you today. Mr. Tucker, could you please fix the microphone? You get somebody who you've pre-prepared to do all of the physical work. You don't do it yourself. If you're playing on stage, you're playing on stage. You are not the technician. You need to get a tech to come up. So you need to prepare that before the performance. Who is the tech? Who's going to bring the amp? Who's going to clip the microphone? Who's going to make sure that it's on? I have many radio microphones foolish people always turn them off, and then they go, "Bah, bah, 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 bah," and they hit my €500 microphone. They hit it with their hand to see whether it's on, and I'm sitting there on the mixing desk going, "Ah!" So you need to have a technical person. Now, could you listen to my voice coming out through the loudspeakers? I am about 10 centimeters from the microphone, and the sound of the microphone is absolutely perfect. I mean, it's a good microphone and it's a good loudspeaker. But my voice is very clear, and I can speak quite loud into it, and it wouldn't be too loud. And I can speak quite quietly because I've naturally got quite a quiet voice, but it's still quite good. Now, if you put the microphone right up into your face like that, then every time you do a sibilant, which is an S, or a percussive sound, which is a P, it makes a horrible noise. So the best microphone technique for a instrumentalist is leave it on a good microphone stand and stand 10 centimeters behind it. But for a singer, if you look at Celine Dion singing, or any professional singer, they lock their left hand into their chest so that the distance is exactly 8 or 10 centimeters from their mouth. And they use their free hand to emphasize to the audience, my heart will go on and on and on. Then she realizes Stefan isn't having give and take with me. So she would then swap hands, but keep the microphone exactly the same distance and then turn around for the left side of the audience. So the continuity of distance should be maintained always. So you're not one of these, punk singers who sings like that. It doesn't look good. Also on the camera it looks terrible with the microphone in front of your face. It's better to leave it there, then it's always clear and you can be quite excited, quite inspired, but at no point does the distance change. Some people say, I don't like microphones. And the audience just think, what are they talking about? Because they can't hear them. Yeah? So keep the same distance from the microphone, or if you have to hold it. For lead singers, holding is good. And getting radio microphones stops you from fiddling with the wire, which looks neurotic, or from falling over the wire, which looks dangerous. Yeah, and the wire will come out, and then in the middle of your performance, the PA will go off. I've done that many times. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Now, there are two sorts of microphones. One is called a dynamic microphone, which is this one. It doesn't have a battery in it. It doesn't have power. You can be quite harsh with that. You can, swing it, drop it on the floor. It won't break. If you have a recording microphone, like that one on the tape recorder, with a battery, it has physically very sensitive elements in it. You should never touch it. So if you have a condenser microphone, like the Neumann and like the AKG that you're recording with downstairs, and like the two AKGs that you're recording with, they do not handle noise very well. A dynamic microphone like this Shure SM58 has rubber inside the microphone. So when you hold it, it doesn't make a big bang. Yeah? So this is a good microphone for vocalists. And when you put a microphone back onto the stand, you squeeze it like that. Yeah? And to take it off, you hold the stand so the stand doesn't come off, and you pull it quickly like that.
You don't slide it?
No, don't slide it. It takes too long. Boom. You need these mic clips are not very good. Yeah, they're not Shure mic clips. You normally have a mic clip for every microphone. This is an AKG microphone, a Sennheiser microphone clip on a Shure microphone, so they don't fit. With mine, I have all the same size microphones, and all of my clips are exactly the right make for that microphone. So I can put the same microphone on any stand. Yeah, Raymond, anything further to say on that?
No, I mean, the short clips tend to be quite
Too
stiff.
hard.
Yeah. So
They're very strong.
You do tend to have to slide them in.
Yeah.
But if you have a
rubber one,
yeah,
they're easier to pull out. But all of this should be practiced before the audience comes in. That's what you do a sound check. You don't do a sound check because you haven't practiced. That's called a practice. It's not called a sound check. A sound check is to check what the sound is.
Yeah. That's actually really annoying for a sound engineer.
It's really annoying for the sound engineer. Let's say it 3 times. It's really annoying. Yeah? So he says,
You should be able to play your loudest song, basically. Like the loudest part of the loudest song, and then you just play that until he's happy, and then that's it.
You don't need to do the soft ones.
Yeah.
Not really, because it's more about how much headroom they need, you know.
If the microphone's too loud, it sounds terrible. So what the recording engineer or the mixing engineer needs to know is when you say, "Ladies and gentlemen," is it too loud? Then they say, "Ladies and gentlemen," because normally when you perform a bit louder than the sound check. You know, when you're really singing well, then there'll be maybe 4 times more volume, than during the sound check. So the sound engineer wants to say, "Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen," and then they know what it sounds like: quiet, medium, or.
Yeah, usually when people perform, they get louder. So it's.
Some people come in. Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. And then they come in with their trumpet. Boo! And the engineer goes, "Ah!" Pulls all the sliders down, right in the middle of the song, because the trumpet is so loud.
I think to add to microphone technique, if you're a lead singer, it's really important. And I would suggest studying it a little bit further, because definitely, as you're saying, it's great. But then if you're a singer, you can learn to actually be even more subtle, because you know as you get louder, it's actually a good. If you watch professional singers, I'm sure Celine Dion maybe at some point anyway. But as they get louder and they're hitting higher notes, they actually pull the microphone away from their mouth, And it's something that you have to practice. It's like an instrument, really. And as he was saying, the mic never moves from this certain position wherever you are, and that takes some practice.
Can I demonstrate that? And I'd like to talk about the inverse square law. And here, the sound is 4 times louder if it's 2 times closer. Yeah? So bass becomes 4 times more the closer it goes. Yeah? And bass becomes less. If you listen here, you can hear the treble, you can hear the high notes. If you listen here, you can hear that I'm actually masculine. Right? So if you're singing a really high note, really ba-dum, the expert singer will put the microphone down here, "Because I'm so passionate in the way of my love." Yeah? So when you get to that poignant point, you can put the microphone close. And people feel, wow, that person's kissing me. They're so close to me, I can see that kiss on my earlobe. Yeah, so far, if you're doing a really blasting sound. And I would suggest that everybody practices how to do quiet sounds, medium sounds, and long sounds. And as a flute player, we're always taught, can you breathe from the diaphragm, breathe from the bottom of the stomach, and can you keep a legato note without vibrato? So can you go, deliberately keep the long note, and then your lungs get bigger and bigger. Yeah. When you first start, you go doo, and that's it. You've run out of air. But when you practice a bit longer, your lungs just organically get bigger and bigger, and the control of the vibration in your vocal cords gets more accurate. So you become more in tune. The stronger the muscles are, the better they can hold a note. Tuning is not really, I can't sing in tune, I can. It's really quite physical, it's quite muscular. Yeah, you have to practice. So, don't nervously touch the microphone, don't touch the wires, don't touch the podium or the mic stand. This is quite an interesting experience I had. Mr. Mark Brann is the previous president of our church in Britain, and True Mother was coming to speak in London, and all of the letters of recommendation he had got, he'd lost.
Oh, goodness.
And he was standing there in front of about 600 people in the audience, and Mr. Mark Brann is not well. He's tall, but he's got a bad back. And he was standing there like that.
Oh, yeah, he does that.
And he's standing there like that. And the stress in his back and the stress on the podium was so uncomfortable. The audience was going, they were, and that's exactly what he was communicating. If you do that in a performance, it's very likely that suddenly the podium will collapse, your notes will go all over the floor, the words will go. So be careful. Don't fiddle with the physical equipment. Leave it be. Make sure that the technical manager who's in your room has checked it. Because if that happens in a performance, it's awful. He said, I didn't want that. I wanted that. And I'm the singer. Yeah, and I'm on my knees. Man. Yeah. This happened to True Father himself in India when he spoke in 1994, I think it was. He was on the front of the stage, he'd been banging the wooden podium, and the flowers on the side of the stage went and we were in the audience. We thought, oh my God, And Father looked at the audience and he put his hand out like that. And all the Indian members were like that. And so Father, he got down on his knees, he held the flower vase round his hand, said, you, come, like that, you. Just chose one of the audience and said, come on, get up here. I was right at the back of the hall, that's my excuse why I wasn't the one. But Father himself, as the speaker, was on his knees in front of 700 audience in the hotel in New Delhi, holding the flowers so they didn't fall on the floor. We were really embarrassed. So, there has to be a flower manager, a water manager, a microphone manager. This should be prepared. Good. And the last point on the last page is PowerPoint. Don't read PowerPoint, perform PowerPoint. If you've got a PowerPoint, don't use it as your source of material. Yesterday I had pre-printed the PowerPoint slides, so I didn't need to look round at the words. I could read them directly off the podium. But I'd read these so many times that I actually remembered it rather than having to have notes.
Can I have a question?
Yeah.
If you have a PowerPoint with
Yes.
a long text,
Chuck it. Turn it off.
yeah, my thing is, if you put the PowerPoint
Yeah.
with a long text and you talk a different text, then the audience has to decide whether to read or to listen.
Yes.
So if you have a long text, you should actually, not turn around, but read it out for the audience, or should you let it have
What I would
double?
do, I see the duality, the conflict. You've got something on the stage. Who's giving the performance? The central figure or the computer? It's the central figure. if you've got a lot of stuff on your PowerPoint slide, you should give people a printed book. Did I do that yesterday? I gave everybody a printed book of all of the content of all of the slides. So that if they want, they can read it. If they don't want, they don't need to. They were watching me, not the PowerPoint, primarily. So if you've got a conflict with PowerPoint and the presenter, you have got bad preparation. In Lancaster Gate, there was this young Korean gentleman. I am department of ta-da-da-da-da department. Because I'm leader of department, I now have PowerPoint. I thought, I'm bored, I'm leaving. Forget it. And he had 28 points on every slide. I couldn't read any of them. And also I didn't agree with any of them. Because I was so annoyed by him that I didn't want to listen to what he said. There was anger and antagonism between the audience and the speaker. So shut up. Tell me you love me and I'll listen to that. Tell me we're going to go to McDonald's at 3 in the afternoon. I understand that. But your wonderful speeches, all done on your computer, not interested. Really not interested. The Chungbo Korean leader, Mr. Reverend Moon, is wonderful. He's a beautiful man. And I don't remember his words, I remember his beauty. Yeah, you met him, did you, in Germany? He's gorgeous. He's really lovely. He didn't come with a PowerPoint. He said, when I meet my members, they are my family. So everybody is my brother and my sister. That's his words. And he did put that in a PowerPoint because I downloaded all of the materials for the Chongba. But he said that and he lived it in his life. That's what I remember about him. The fact he's a person of beauty and a person of communication. But he wouldn't project that onto the screen in the presentation. He would put a film or a photo or some music as the background, not hundreds of concepts. Yeah, is that okay? So what Heidi said there is there's a conflict. If the speaker speaks one thing, I have that a lot. You know, the Lord into his garden comes. Yeah, it's actually got 5 verses. It's an Irish folk song. It's an Irish Christian song. And Mr. Hannah loves researching all of the historical backgrounds and using new songs. And suddenly I was playing the guitar for 3 verses, and on the PowerPoint there was 5 verses. Oh, now I'm really confused. Because do I turn around and forget what chords I'm playing, or do I watch the chords and guess what the words are? And I was just desperately upset.
So this is an Irish folk song.
Good. And that's the end of my section. Question time, yeah?
Yeah.
You have a question or comment?
No, it was just an awareness that I got that this song was an Irish folk song.
Yes. Because if you listen to it and you sing it in Irish, it's Irish dance. It's beautiful, it's Celtic. Yeah? Makes my ancestors sing. Good. So thank you for your great attention. We're now going to go and have a break, 10 or 15 minutes, whatever is required. And I'd like you, if you could, to do the introduction to your song. You know, not the actual song, or the actual song, I don't care. It's just some theoretical point. But do a 1 minute or 2 minute introduction. And in this notebook, you've got 3 key points. You don't need to do more than 3 points. You've got the introduction, who I am, who my band is. And you've got the conclusion. You should have premeditated the conclusion. I want my audience to be crying by the end of this song. I want my audience to be fired up and really start the revolution by the end of my song. I want the audience to wipe that stupid smiling grin off their face and get serious because this world is in a mess. You have to premeditate whatever atmosphere you want your audience to be experiencing by the end of your talk. And I will give critiques if you want. It's very obvious. Somebody comes up, they don't introduce themselves. I say, who are you? I've never met you. You didn't relate to me. Or they talk too short or too long or not interesting. And some people say, ladies and gentlemen, and there's no up, there's no down, there's no music in their voice. There has to be music. There has to be the dynamics of music, the crescendo, the diminuendo, the ritardando, all of these bits of music should be in how you speak. There should be a time for a drum break. You know, like in the Carpenters. Dum, da-gum, gum, ga-da, wah. And then the audience goes, wah, and their whole body becomes a drum kit. Living sonor.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you very much.
Thank
you.
you.